Hey everybody, Bob Horn here for Plugin Alliance. I'm coming to you from my studio, the Echo Bar in Los Angeles, California. And today we're going to show you the Brainworx plugin, the Oven. All right, so here it is, the Oven plugin. I'm one of the longtime users of the hardware, and I've had it for about 2 years since the beginning. Loved it. I bragged all my friends about it. And the thing about the hardware Oven is that it's, all hardware is more expensive than the plugin, of course. And there's not very many in existence. There's less than 20 even now, 2 years into it. So it's a rare piece to come by. So that just makes the plugin that much fun because everybody can now enjoy the Oven. And as far as the comparison of the real thing to the plugin, it's pretty astounding. I know Maor Appelbaum, the designer of the Oven, along with Chris Hendy of Hendyamps, I know that Maor spent a long time, a lot of sleepless nights comparing the plugin to the hardware and A/Bing it and really dialing it in. There's even some cool additions over what the hardware has, such as a parallel blend, stereo widener, mono maker, a headroom adjustment, which is golden. I love that. Like just being able to keep your tonal settings that you achieved, but then full with the amount of level you're pushing into the Oven or not, and not have to adjust more of your settings. You just move that headroom knob and you can have more saturation, more crunch, clean it up, whatever you want to do. So there's a lot of advantages that the plugin offers us. The ability to automate, obviously you can't do that with a piece of hardware. And so I'll show you a few audio examples and we'll dive right in. So we're gonna start with acoustic guitar. I have this mono acoustic, just a typical strummy, very nice sounding guitar. I believe it was a Gibson Hummingbird. On these kind of acoustics, I like a lot of that nice airy pick kind of sound on top. So we're gonna use the sizzle and kind of add a nice sparkly top, and we're gonna put the sizzle on the B setting to make it even higher. I'll show you guys both, and kind of open up this acoustic so that it kind of shimmers more. So here we go. We're gonna add a little bit of temp and cook. So here's the acoustic dry, and you'll see me engage it. Yeah, it just opens it up really nice. It just kind of finishes it off. It's almost like we've, I don't know, mastered the sound or something. I mean, it's just, it was already a good acoustic, but now we've just kind of made it special. We've added some harmonics, some good saturation. We could go a little crazier with it. So really bringing out that shimmer and that pick attack, and just making that real pretty. So we have two other acoustics that just play diamonds, just kind of whole notes, half notes, and these we want the same thing. So we're gonna pull down some of that thickness, just kind of thin them out and get some of that sparkle going. So you can hear the range of the fundamentals and the bottom end of the chord are very, very much there, but we're not getting that openness to it. We just want it to shine more. So when I engage that, it just kind of takes the chord and just brings up this shimmer to the same level. Like when it's bypassed, you kind of have the high end of the sound. It's dark, but it's not giving this that shimmer, So nice on that pick, you know, sounds really good. Almost like we made the player better. Not really, but almost. All right, let's go. I wanted to show you guys this cool thing on this Rhodes. Another high-end thing. And this we're gonna go pretty drastic with the burner over here, the high burner. It's a big, hefty Rhodes with lots of weight to it. And I want to kind of counterbalance that and bring out the metallic tines to the Rhodes. So we're gonna crank up a lot of the burner, some of the sizzle, and pull down some of that weight of the low end. I'm gonna use the upper of the low burn type, so the higher frequency, because it's not really subs that I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to like get rid of some of the weight, kind of thin it out a little bit, but not like you would thin out with a shelf on an EQ. This is more, you know, more, like I said, more musical. Like these burners aren't drastic. Like this is I don't even know how many dB that is. That's the great thing about this plugin, is that you don't really get values and hertz and bandwidths. You just kind of, you learn what the knobs do, and you know, instinct kind of takes over, and you just feel like it's kind of a more musical approach to mixing, and I really like that. So you can do your surgical stuff with your parametric EQs, but then when you want to like dial in that tone and make it more special, then you come to the oven, you know. So here we go. Here's the bypassed Rhodes. So it's a fine Rhodes. It's really thick. If it was the only thing in this song, we didn't have a vocal to contend with and drums and stuff, it would be fine. But I want more of that attack and definitely more of the metallicness of the notes. So I've you know, I've pulled the weight out of it. I've cleaned it up. It's going to get out of the way of other instruments like the bass a little more, add a little more attack, but I haven't like reinvented that sound, you know. If you were working with a producer that was very picky about the sounds he gave you, like he wouldn't be upset that you carved out all this low end and added all this high end and reinvented the wheel, you know. It's like I've just musically just leaned it a little more towards the direction that I want for this mix, you know. So it's a great plugin in that respect, where you're just kind of altering the musicality and making it more special and more geared towards what you need in the song, you know. Let's go into some electric guitars. So we have just some whole notes, some diamonds, power chords. Seems like a good amp sound, but it's kind of a little boxy and, you know, just not very clear. It doesn't cut at all. You know, it's fine, but I think we can make it more special. So let's check it out. Let's cut a bunch of the mids and push up some of the clarity. Get a tiny bit of sizzle in there. We don't want to make them pretty and sparkly, but we definitely want to open them up a little bit. So I'm going to go to the higher sizzle type, kind of above all the frequencies, you know, of the distortion. Just kind of get above them and open up the air, you know. But a good bit of top burn and suck out some of that mid burn. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Putting the calibration on medium. We're just going to push this whole thing a little more and see what we get. So you see, we got a lot of clarity in that high end without getting harsh because the burners aren't so drastic in their control. Everything's kind of smooth, and it just, the sound of it is very forgiving, and you can move it just a little bit, and it's not like you pulled down the EQ a dB. You just kind of, I don't know, it's just like it kind of molds it softly. And all right, so now I'm going to show you bass on the oven, and we're going to add a lot of really low beef to this bass. It's a synth bass, and it's very kind of low, not a lot of upper harmonics. Let me play it for you. It's fine. It's just not that impressive. So we're gonna bring up a little bit of mid harmonics, get it to speak a little bit more in that range, but we're gonna add a lot of kind of sub and lower stuff to this bass. So here, check this out. So that's really cool. But now let's say you really wanted to add some harmonics into this, really get it saturated, and just kind of experiment and see what you could get out of it. Let's mess with this headroom control. So you can see where you can really add a lot of color. So bringing those harmonics out so the bass can be heard on small speakers, cell phones, stuff like that, but also give it cool characters. And we'll go even more drastic on drums. I'll really show you some distortion. First, kick drum. We have a kick drum with a lot of character. It has a pretty decent sustain to it and kind of a papery attack to it. It's very heavy. Definitely got a boom to it. So the first setting we're going to go with, we're going to kind of try to tighten it up, bring out a little bit of that papery attack, get a little bit of compression. Even though this isn't necessarily a compressor, when you hit these circuits harder, they kind of square off and hold on to stuff for you. So it's kind of like you're getting a compressor, so to speak, hitting these transformers and tubes in the box. Um, so check it out. Here's the kick drum before. And then here's after. So pulled down a little bit of the boominess, pushed up a little bit of the attack. We can even go a little more. Let's see what the mid burner sounds like. So I love this because we can get so many different sounds, and we're not focused on like what are we doing with 700 hertz or 1K. Like we're not thinking like that. We're just thinking of mid range, and we push it up, push it down. Where does it feel good? So this plugin, you get a lot more feel in it, and just the operation of it. So that's what I love about the oven, is that it takes the thinking out of, the specifics away, and you're less engineering and you're more making music. So now let's push this really hard and see what kind of, grit we can get on this. So as you can see, we can really mangle some sounds, but we do have the parallel mix and we do have the headroom. So back it down a little bit with the parallel mix, but then let's also clean it up. Now that we got a cool character, let's clean it up by raising the headroom. So you can imagine like how you can really get creative on whole drum buses and really make some new sounds, and basses and kick drums especially. You can really go in and get some cool stuff out of them. Lots of character. This plugin's all about character. All right, let's check out a couple snare drums. So our first one. So a real smacky short snare with a big tail of reverb on it. I want to kind of get almost like a almost more like a compression. I want to kind of hammer that transient. We'll do that with the temperature and the cook, and bring down our headroom a little bit. We got our calibration up, and then I also want to keep the snap. So after I round off that transient, I want to open up that high end and really make it shine. So let's see what I did. It just makes it more exciting, Also adding some weight to it. Kind of brings the reverb out too, because we're hitting the top of it. We hammer that transient, and because the reverb is printed on the sound, because we're hammering that transient, it just brings that reverb up a little bit, and we're adding the sizzle and the high burner. We're just making it more exciting overall. So let me show you. We have the flow turned down a good bit, which, like I mentioned in the beginning, like it's kind of being reserved on that final output, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the flow all the way up, but then adjust the output on the plugin, which is the clean output at the end of the plugin, to compensate. And let's see what the difference is sonically. So now that reverb is really going crazy. It's really just coming out of the sides and jumping up, and because now we're really hitting the oven hard. So that's the flexibility of this plugin. You just gotta get in here, forget about the numbers and the terms, and just start moving stuff, get creative, So let's compare that one more time. Here it is, full open on the flow. And then here is backed off a little bit. Both are good. It just depends what your song needs. We got a little bit of the stereo width going in there. So you can really, really choose your sound, where you want to go with this and get some incredible results. Let's check out that second snare. Let's see what we can do with that one. Okay, so this snare has a little bit more heft to it, but less attack. It's a little more round on the attack, but it's got this little low end thing in it. So I want to accentuate that and then open up the high end so it's more wispy. So you see, it's just more exciting. Like that's what this plugin does. It breathes life into sounds. Like the designer of this Maor, what he calls it, the Mojo Box. It's just adding richness and harmonics to the sounds. Okay, let me show you some hi-hats with the oven. You can imagine, what the oven could do, especially with this sizzle control. We're just going to bring out, you know, some nice sheeny high end on these hi-hats. So here's the hi-hat bypassed. So I'm going to leave the temperature and the cook down. I'm not really trying to drive the circuits or get any extra harmonics out of the tubes or pentode stage or anything like that. I really just want to get this air band kicked in and a little bit of the high burner and just get a little bit of sizzle on there. So here we go. Yeah, it's great. We took a little bit of the weight out of it. It had a little bit of just a little bit of too much low end. So great plugin for that kind of thing. All right, so now let's see what the oven can do on an entire instrumental mix. So let's see. Let's play a little bit of the song right now, see what we got. Okay, I mean, it sounds balanced, but it's, in my opinion, a little light on the low end, and it could just kind of have a little better sheen to it. More kind of mastering stuff, so that's kind of how we're going to approach it. We're going to do some light settings with the temperature and cook, and put up a little sizzle. There's a lot of like snare ghosty stuff and hi-hats they're not bright and crispy, but they might be a little much in certain frequency ranges that might fall in line with this high burner. So pull a little bit of that down, not too much, and then just a little bit of temp and cook. We're gonna leave the calibration and the headroom conservative, and yeah, let's see what we're gonna do. That's nice. That's nice. It definitely brings up a more sweet version of those ghost notes in the hi hats and less brash, and pulled out a little bit of that cloudy mid area and pushed up a little more of the low heft of the whole song. Some sub, some bass. Definitely feel the kick more. We got a little bit of stereo width going on. We tighten the lows with with the mono maker up to 108 hertz, and then we just back it off a little bit with the parallel. We're not hitting the flow too hard, and like I said, we're conservative on the temp and cook, and I left these on the bacon electric, which seem a little more less drastic to me, but I did push the temperature in the high mode, so getting a little extra that. I did go on our channels. I went digital, and that seemed to kind of bring it all together too, like really focused on that low and that kick and bass. Let's hear it one more time. So let's say I was, an engineer, new to the field and didn't have a lot of experience and didn't know my frequencies really well, and I just needed more of a musical mastering to a song, and I kind of knew bass, mid, and treble, and some frequencies, but using this plugin for mastering, I'm able to just, oh well, I know there's too much mids, so I don't have a lot of choices. I just pull that down and boom, I've kind of resculpted the mids of this song without getting too in depth to like exact frequencies and bandwidth. And I've kind of softened the high end, but opened up the air, brought more of the bass and kick out a little bit, So this is a great plugin, just to think from that perspective when you're engineering, mastering. It's like you don't have to overthink it and nail those frequencies because it's such a broad, more musical approach. And it's a lot more forgiving, but the result is just incredible. Okay, so now I want to show you guys what the oven can do for a drum bus. The oven, it's the perfect thing for drum bus, for drums in general, but the drum bus, just because like a lot of us like parallel compression and just really trying to bring energy to our drums. We love limiting and saturation. And what's great about the oven is it kind of accomplishes all of that in one plugin, and you don't have to overthink it. And it's hard to overdo the oven technically. Like if you pull down the threshold of a limiter too far and you're all of a sudden crushing your snare, you ruin the drums. With the oven, if you push it too far, it's just another sound, and you might even like it. It might be useful, So the oven, it's such a musical and forgiving thing to use. Check this out. So we're just going to wake these drums up with the oven. So here's the drum bus as a whole, dry. Okay, and then here it is with the oven. So we've definitely added a lot of color, a lot of harmonics. We've added some heft with the lows. We're pushing all the burners. We're pushing up a little bit of high end. We're pushing up the mids, nice strong mids. Check out how useful this mid is. You could go with the scoop sound or a pushed mid sound. It's all useful. Check this out. So that's a little bit dirtier sound. You can get real clean with the scoop sound. You could change the frequency, get a little more, spank on that snare. Or pull it down a little bit and make it a little more, a little more pleasant, a little more safe sounding. We want to get a little more wispy on the snare. We could crank up the sizzle. Bringing out all that hi-hat stuff and the snare ghosting. So let's go drastic with the with the headroom, and we're already pushing the temperature in the cook a little bit. Could go high on the temperature. We already got the gas mode going on the cook. That's great. Like that's useful. It's like if you were making a break beat or you just wanted to turn that into a loop rather than just, you know, the main drums of a song. You just go with this crunchy feel, make it a nice little loop, put it under some other drums, you know. You can really get creative with this. Look what we just invented. It's like, it's a whole nother thing. It's like we can write a new song to this now. And we could take these drums, put it in another session, and no one would ever know that that's where these came from. You know, it's like we just created something brand new. And that's what I love about this plugin. And if we just want a little bit of that character, we can take the parallel all the way down and just start blending it up a little bit. Go extra wide with it. So you can see how useful this is already, you know, like all the different elements you can use it on. It's perfect for the master bus, drum bus, you know, kick drum, snare drum, piano. So yeah, just a really versatile plugin. Okay, I want to show you guys what the oven can do for a vocal. Can literally make it sound like you've used a more expensive microphone. It's awesome. So I have this vocal, and let me play it for you with the plugin bypassed first.
When you twist it around, all you wanna be is unbound and on steady ground. A soul journey calls to take that walk inside of you, the spirit. It's
Fine vocal. Nothing really wrong with it. It's not overly boomery or anything, so it's the perfect thing for the oven. We're just gonna kind of throw the finishing polish on it, and we're gonna take out a little bit of the low end and push up some of the mid forwardness. You know, everyone loves forward vocals, and get a little bit of clarity using the top burn, and we'll use the Bunsen, you know, which will kind of extend the range of that top burn. You know, just kind of broadens it. And then, of course, we'll do a little bit of sizzle, get some air on that vocal. And, you know, I'm going to leave the parallel all the way up so we just hear all the character and see what that sounds like. So we'll start out with the bypass, and then I'll kick it in.
when you twist it around, all you wanna be is unbound and on steady ground. A soul journey calls to take that walk inside of you, the spirit. It's hard and it's real, with everything you feel, with now and the past. But sometimes the road gets too rough.
We've literally increased the diction, just opening up that high end with the sizzle. We get more clarity. It'll be easier to hear at a lower level in the mix, you know. We've had a little bit of harmonics, but we're not going crazy. We're not really getting saturation. We definitely could if we wanted to, but we're just trying to make it more pretty, like it's almost like a more expensive microphone. So one more time.
When you twist it around, all you wanna be is unbound and on steady ground. A soul journey calls.
There you have it. Okay, so now for you electric bass guys, I want to show you a trick you can do with the oven. A lot of times we like those real deep, rich low-end basses with the mid scooped out, but I'm going to show you how to get a vintage bass sound. So this is an electric bass, not a synth bass. Check this out. Start off bypassed. That's great. We just pushed the mid burner a bunch. We calmed down the top burner a little bit just to really calm down some of the string noises, and just kind of trying to give that vintage P bass kind of sound, just mid forward. We brought out a lot of character of the notes rather than just having it be a low end instrument, and not really pushing the temp or cook hard. It was really more just the burner. But if we want to kind of go for a more saturated sound, let's see what happens when we do that. That's great. We just took a DI bass and made it sound like it's going through an Ampeg B12, just making that speaker cry, pushing it to the limit, So you do a lot of things with basses in the oven. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this in-depth look of the Brainworx plugin, The Oven. You can find it on the pluginalliance.com website. And I'm Bob Horn. You can find me on Instagram, Bob Horn Mixing, and Facebook under Bob Horn. And we'll catch you next time.